Apart from setting the default collation on a collection, as we've seen previously, we can also create indexes with an alternative collation. So let's pick up a simple example for this particular setup. I'm going to create a collection, which I'm going to call Users of Portugal. Now, this collation will have a locale of PT, which means Portuguese. Once I created it, I can then insert a couple of different documents. One that calls Norberto, the most beautiful name in the world, which has a type and a role. And also another one, which is Users Portugal again, with a different name, with a diacritic on it, and with a different type and a different role. Once I do this, if I do my search on my Users Portugal, I will find all different documents, as I would be expecting to do so. Now, in this collection, where I'm holding information from users from Portugal, setting up that PT locale as the collation, so meaning that all subsequent indexes will be using this collation for sorting and comparison, makes total sense because the users that I'm storing information here are generically from Portugal, so we can assume that all the text information will also be based out of the Portuguese language. But if we look closely to the information that I was inserting, well, we have here the name. Generally, this will be a Portuguese name. We also have a type here, which from the funny C character here, we can see that's typically Portuguese. But also we have a role here, which is written in English. So if we wanted to have a index on role, the most likely locale for it will be to use English instead of Portuguese. So for that, we will need to create a specific index with a different locale, or in this case with a different collation, from the one that we set for the collection. Now, if we just create the index as we've been creating so far, everything will work. So in this case, we're going to create an index ordering ascendant on the field name. Great, created, all seems happy and good. Now, if we go and look for the indexes on this particular collection, we can find that we will have our underscore ID, our default primary key index. And in that, we will take the collation that we've set by default for the collection. The same thing will occur for our recently created index on name, would also have the same collation, which in this case will be on the lovely language of Portuguese. Now, as we mentioned before, if we want to create the index on role, and since role majority of the keywords will be English words, we might want to change the locale of this index to use English, and therefore determine the collation appropriately. And obviously, it works. Again, if we ask for the indexes, we will see that the index on role has a different collation from the one defined on the collection, in this case, English. Now, another important thing to keep in mind is that in general, MongoDB does not allow you to create two indexes with the same pattern. So, for example, if we want to create another index with name ascending positively, this in MongoDB is not possible because we will not allow this to be created, except if we are using a different collation. This is something that 3.4 introduces, allows you to create an index, the duplicate index, with the same pattern if we change the collation. Now, this exact particular example will fail, and we can see here that the information is that the index options conflict. For us to do this, and the reason to do this is that we might want to have the same particular field indexed and being able to be sorted and compared using a different collation. For this to work, we will need to specify a unique name for this index in particular. So meaning that we can have multiple indexes with the same pattern, so inciting in the same fields with the same ordering, as long as we use a different collation, and we also need to specify a unique name for it. So if we do these two things, we can correctly create indexes with the same pattern, with different collations, just specifying a different unique name for the index.